It looked rough from the start, and it looked rough at the end. It was an unstable, unplayable mess at the start, and by the time I got there, it was still an unplayable, unstable mess.
Oh, it was rough.
We were kind of the bastard child of DMA. You know, no one really wanted to work on GTA.
It certainly wasn't one of the games that DMA Design were looking at that was going to be a big hit for them.
And because it was constantly evolving over a period of 4 years, it could have been canned at any point.
Every week they wanted to kill this game, and we'd have to kind of argue to try and keep it going.
I'm quite proud to say that my name is actually in paragraph 1 of the very first design document. I think there was a lot of threads that came together. Mike Daly, wrote the overhead perspective engine, or Lego Vision as it was nicknamed. And in the design department, his job was basically to create prototypes and just muck about with stuff, see what was possible.
And one of the things I did was this engine that allowed an isometric view bit to spin, and it had issues. So I had started on another engine, basically the same idea, blocks glued together, but viewed from the side initially. There was a game called Clockwork Knight on the Sega Saturn.
And Mike was like, well, that's interesting. He was just one of these people that he was always trying to, when he saw some new tech, he'd try and see if he could copy it and figure out what made it tick.
And then it occurred to me, if I put a wall in the background and actually just painted a road on it, it's actually top down rather than side on.
They realised very quickly that these moving blocks could be buildings, and therefore we could build a whole city.
It's kind of be like an ant farm or a fish tank. It's going to be that kind of interesting, wow, this thing's really alive, and I can poke it, and I can poke it by being bad.
Because it did start out as a cops and robbers type game, and then just evolved into this kind of criminal, just steal anything, because nobody wanted to play the cops.
Yeah, so we got huge A0 graph paper and started figuring out, what the city would look like. And I'm not sure who decided how big the world maps were going to be. I think for the time they were quite large.
We were looking at your grittier movies and trying to find scenes from those, like action sequences and things that we thought would be cool that could then somehow translate into this top-down, head and shoulders kind of viewing aspect of what the game was. Because at the start it was like pizza delivery missions. It's literally like, go to this house, come out the house, get in the car, drive to the end of the road, deliver the pizza, well done, and we thought, this is shit. This is not going to work.
They would actually finish a mission, and then I would get that, and then have to sort of write the plot to sort of explain what the hell was going on.
The writers were kind of driving it one way, the level designers were driving it another way, and they weren't meeting in the middle. So you're ending up with something that read badly, that made no sense, and that kept breaking. The milestones they were meant to uphold didn't really materialise. And I think within a matter of months, we had the US, because we'd have conference calls every week, at least once a week with the US. They wanted to kill it every week, and I think this is amazing. Every week they wanted to kill this game. And we'd have to kind of argue to try and keep it going because we had some faith.
None of us had made games before, so first week we're like, right, I'm thinking of all my favourite movies, and everybody's writing down all these really kind of like over-the-top mission designs. And I can remember when we'd written down all the ideas that we had, and we took them to the code team, and they just went, are you fucking mental? It's just, we can't do all that.
We had one person on that team who'd shipped a game before. Everyone was fresh, everyone was green.
I was leading the audio department nominally. I was 22 or something. I knew nothing.
I mean, anarchic almost makes it sound sexier than it really ought to be. It was just messy.
There was an awful lot of stuff of, wouldn't it be cool if we could just add this? Yeah, go on, and you go, it's fine. So lots of features just kind of snuck in like that.
And it took 4.5 years, or close to 4.5 years, because all the way through we were figuring out what the end result was going to be. And nobody knew.
That was a team that did not know what it was doing a lot of the time. So, but when Gary came in, it really made a big difference. He started to just say no a lot.
It's like trying to nail jelly to kittens, to mix up some horrible metaphors there. It's just so... And then eventually, there's enough hands to hold this thing together, but please nobody move, because this thing's going to fall apart, if anything. That's what it felt like right at the end. It's like, we've just got to put this out now, because if we don't, it's just going to break again, and we've lost it forever.
PlayStation had to be finished a month before the PC version was finished, and there was still content going in, and we were going to say, well, we have to finish. No, we have to get this done because it has to go to master. Whereas PC, I think, was only about a week before I actually went to the shops that it actually finished. So there were still some content differences between the two because they were changing things right up to the very end.
The controversy thing really got out of hand quite quickly, and it took everyone by surprise because we had been developing a game that was all about the fun, but Max Clifford was astonishing. He just made a phone call and it was, yeah, it's Max. Got this game, got this computer game. Yeah. You steal cars, you run over policemen, and you shoot people in the head. What? And it really struck a chord. And so we ended up with questions being asked in Parliament because the prevailing wisdom at that point was games were for children.
Getting it finished is the bit that makes you think, yeah, because I'm certainly arrogant enough to believe it wouldn't have got finished without me.
Sometimes torturing myself by the thought that looking at the GTA character list, Deaver, well, that is one of my names, so maybe my surviving contribution was one word.
You hope that folk find it fun and will buy it and stuff, but you never think, this is going to take over the world. So.
When we were meant to be going through to Edinburgh to join Rockstar North, when everybody was moving from Dundee through to Edinburgh, and we were talking to Sam Hauser, and the way that Sam spoke about his vision for where he was going to take the game for 3 and moving on from 3, it felt to me like this is the guy that's going to make it actually work. He knew the music industry, he knew the film industry, and he had all the right connections to make the things that he was speaking about reality. Whereas anybody can say, I'm going to make it like a movie and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Whereas it's all about knowing the right people, and he knew all the right people to do all the things that he spoke about.
What is it, the biggest games franchise in the world now? Who'd have known? You couldn't. And yeah, from such humble beginnings as well.
All I can say is I'm proud to have worked on the first one.
You look back on it and think, how the hell did we ever get away with that?